Hello, my name is Dr. Stephen Critchlow. I'm a consultant psychiatrist. I've also been a church pastor. I'm doing a series of talks on the topic of depression. And today I want to start by looking at how depression might actually show itself. And here I want to start with just a couple of stories of people who were later found to have depression. This is what one lady said. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel anything for my husband. I couldn't feel anything for the children. It was like being inside a very thick balloon, and no matter how hard I pushed out, the skin of the balloon would push me back in. There she's expressing the fact that she feels trapped. She cannot get free from this depressed feeling, and she feels as though she's inside a very thick balloon. Another lady said this. She said, I was putting my eldest daughter to bed and trying to read her a child's story, and I actually found I had no longer had the concentration to read. I couldn't follow the sentences to actually read it out loud, and that was the point where it was clear that I had to seek help, and so I made an appointment with the doctor the next day. She's really struggling with depression. And so depression here is affecting feelings and concentration. Of course, historical figures too have really struggled with depression. For example, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, led the country in a very critical time during the Civil War. But of course, he struggled with severe melancholy. But the fact of the matter is, he overcame what his feelings were and was still able to lead that country in a very difficult time. Winston Churchill is widely regarded as one of the major historical figures of the 20th century, but he struggled again with severe depression, which he called my black dog. But again, it didn't prevent him becoming a great leader and leading the country in that critical time. He did, however, take alcohol to excess. And it's well known that if you take alcohol to excess, you become at greater risk to yourself. For example, many suicides involve alcohol. What do we know about how common depression is? Well, it's twice as common in women as it is in men. But interestingly, the suicide rate is actually 3 times higher in men than women. You see, there are many causes for that, but one of the causes is that men do not talk about their problems. They tend to bury them down inside, which is never a good idea, whereas women more often talk about their difficulties with one another or with others. Now, how common is depression? We've talked about it being twice as common in women as it is in men. In fact, one woman in her life will need treatment for depression. 1 woman in 4 will need treatment for depression some stage during their lives, compared with 1 in 10 of men. The overall rate at any one time is a little over 3%. But of course, depression is sometimes commoner in certain areas than others, in inner city areas. It's worldwide. Depression is worldwide, but it's more common in certain areas. How can we think about depression also and find some spiritual help for it? Well, here David in one of the Psalms is extremely depressed, and this is what he writes in Psalm 6. O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger, nor chasten me in your wrath. Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am pining away. Heal me, O Lord, for my bones are dismayed, and my soul is greatly dismayed. But you, O Lord, how long? What was David doing there? Well, he was recognizing that he was very depressed. He really was pining away, but he was crying out to the Lord in the midst of his difficulties. He was throwing his problems onto God. Now, the spiritual side in depression is important. The physical side, the mental side, the treatments are all going to be important, and I'm going to go through some of those, but also the spiritual side is important. And here, David is crying out to God for his help in the midst of his difficulties and the midst of his depression. And that is always something we can do as well. Thank you.